Hey, sorry guys, my mic was muted there. Welcome everybody, MLB WNBA pre-lock live for Sunday, July 4th. Happy Independence Day, everybody. And for some reason, I kept thinking tomorrow's July 4th, but it's today. But we have a quick show here for you. I'm going to do MLB for today's big Sunday slate, like always. And then I'm going to turn it over to Walter for his WNBA slate, which is later today, as soon as I get done here. But first of all, yourphillieschoice.com, $35 a month for 6 months. All sports included. That is everything plus our betting, our wager section. You get our premium Discord. We have YFC Pro Shop with hats, all that kind of stuff. So we have a lot going on here at YFC. Checking out our winning lineup room. Been doing really well in MLB. We had a good weekend. We've been hitting GBPs really well. I'm seeing WNBA's hitting, especially from Walter. He'll be coming after me. I've seen he looks like he's been crushing. Soccer's been crushing. Esports. So a lot going on. Today, though, is mostly baseball. We get the main slate starting at 1. Then we have a 4 p.m. slate. Then we have Sunday Night Baseball tonight with the Yankees and Mets. And I believe there's also another game tonight. It must be for the holiday. Which is the Giants in Arizona at, I think, 9 p.m., something like that. But WNBA 6 p.m. is also showdown for WNBA tonight. Seattle and Los Angeles at 9 p.m. Said Walt will hit you up on all that. NASCAR at 2:30. The Jockey Made in America 250. We have information out on that with Eric Big E. He also has all his esports stuff out there, especially CSGO, his spreadsheet. So a lot going on here. Good stuff. And we keep on winning. So, MLB today. It looks like starting off with the weather. There's not much going on for once. Yesterday turned out to be a shit show with the Phillies and Yu Darvish and the Padres. We got kind of lucky because actually the game did go off. I changed off at Darvish and he did kind of get hit up a little bit, so it didn't hurt me that much. But today, everything looks pretty well. The Padres-Philly game, there is a chance of showers, but nothing heavy. The Mets game with the Yankees game 1, which is 7 innings. I think that's going to be okay. A few light showers, and that's it. So finally, a decent slate for MLB. Pitching today. Today's a kind of a strange pitching slate because honestly, there's so many ways to go here, and I really haven't made up my decision as to where I want to go. If you look at our cheat sheet is updated. I just got updated a couple minutes ago, so if you're a premium member, you can pull that up as you're watching. And it's interesting. So what I'm seeing right now, I'm seeing 3 pitchers over 35% right now ownership. Lucas Giolito, the White Sox, 42% going up against Detroit. Charlie Morton, who I actually like today for Atlanta, we're looking at him as be like about 39% owned. And then Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee, 36% owned. So they're the top 3 pitchers ownership-wise for cash. A couple other guys in there. Garrett Cole, who I'm going back and forth on. He's about 28% ownership. And then Robbie Ray's dropped down to 13%. He actually started off the day earlier. I thought he was going to be one of the highest owned. So there's so many ways. This is actually going to be maybe pretty good today because may push away a lot of the chalk. At least we won't get 2 pitchers that are really high owned. But when it's all said and done, I think my top pitcher today will be my SP2, which is Charlie Morton on DK for the Braves. I've always been a Charlie Morton guy. I've been a fan of his for years, and he's really doing well again this year. He's keeping the ball on the ground, he's keeping it out of the air. 48% ground ball rate going up against Miami. He's striking out more than 10 batters per 9, which is huge for him. 3.48 xFIP, which is good. Plus, he's a minus 180 home favorite against the Marlins. Second to last offense in the league. And that's right before the Pirates were just horrible. So I really think that Morton is your way to go for SP2, especially that price at 7.8. And the other way I'm leaning right now is I'm going to call out kind of a stack against the 2 shit teams, the 2 shit offensive teams. We got Morton against Miami, and I'm leaning right now as my SP1 is Freddie Peralta going up against Pittsburgh, the other bad offense. He's got elite 2.17 ERA of the season, 3.49 xFIP, which is right there, same as Morton's. He's above average arm, striking out more than 12.5 batters per nine. He does have some control issues now and then. It can be a problem, but I think with this matchup, he's got too much upside. Minus 173 favorite. He's a favorite on the road. The Pirates are dead last in league offense. They have 287 Wnba, which is actually a full 7 points lower than any other team in MLB. So this is the worst group of bats by quite a margin in Major League Baseball. So the way I'm leaning right now is Peralta and Morton as my cash plays, and as actually two of the top three ownership guys on our projections. So the third guy is Lucas Giolito, who's actually is starting to catch a little bit more love, I think, as the day is going on. I'm seeing him ranked second in a lot of spots. He is an elite matchup. The problem with Giolito, he hasn't had that elite strikeout stuff this year. But 29%, the Tigers lineup does strike out 26% of the time against righties. So he's in a good spot. I mean, you got to face he's in a good spot. Pretty much, as I would think, it's almost a coin toss between him and Peralta. The other wild card here is Garrett Cole. I've been going back and forth on Cole all morning whether I want to use him or not. Because it's more of a gut feeling. I've watched a lot of Cole. I've watched his games lately where he hasn't been pitching well with all the issues, with the sticky substance and all that. If you look at his season as a whole, they're strong. But obviously, since they had the ban, since June now, he's got a 4.65 ERA. He's barely over strikeout per inning. So that's going to keep the ownership off him. But I do have a feeling today that Cole is going to have a good game against the Mets. It's a 7-inning game, especially let's say he's not on FanDuel. But so I still think you're going to get the win out of him, and I still think we could get 9 or 10 Ks. It is risky, so I would probably more put him in the GPP category. But I do have a strong feeling on Cole today, and before it's all said and done, before lock at 105, he may end up actually as one of my SPs on DK. So I'm not sure which I'm going to go, but he's in the running for me. The last guy is Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray has had a good year. He scares me though sometimes. I just keep feeling he's going to regress back to the Robbie Ray from 2 years ago. He's got a couple tough matchups today with guys like Mike Zunino, who we'll talk about, and some other rated bats for Tampa. But Ray he's had a great year. You can't deny that. He's been right up there probably with the best of them. So he obviously isn't running today. But once again, I'm going back and forth on this Cole, whether to use him or not. He still has a 28% K rate last month. So, and the Mets I'm looking the second to last offense and runs per game, 7-inning game. So I don't know. I got to go back and forth. I may end up with Garrett Cole and cash. But right now, I'm leaning Peralta and Morton, and that's probably the safest way to go. And that's what the projections looking at for ownership. On FanDuel, the top our projections are top owned is going to be Giolito at 30%, and then Freddie Peralta at 26%. But even though I'm such a Morton guy, I could see even using Morton in FanDuel cash also at 9K. All right, so that's pretty much pitching. Anybody else we want to talk about in there for any kind of a GPP play? Blake Snell, he hasn't been doing that great this year, but I think Snell's in a decent matchup today against Philadelphia. I think he's going to win. I think Philadelphia is obviously a weak offense. So don't sleep on Snell today, especially if you're running more than one lineup. I think he actually may be surprising today. You also got Zach Greinke, Kenta Maeda. They're kind of safe choices, but they're not going to win you GPPs. And that's pretty much it. Because the rest of these guys are gas cans, Quantrell going up against Astros. You want the Astros offense, Zach Thompson going up against the Braves. I would take the Braves offense. Matt Manning's a gas can. Brad Keller's a gas can. And I'm not a Ryan Yarbrough fan for Tampa either, for the Blue Jays. So they're the big offenses today. The Astros, Braves, White Sox, Twins, and Blue Jays against these pitchers. All right, so that's what we're looking at for pitching. We're going to go around quickly, around the bases, looking at our projection for ownership. So I'm pretty much talking cash plays there, and then give you my top plays of the day. So start with catcher. Probably the favorite, the popular cash play, looking at our projections, is Jason Castro is looking at 14% ownership, so it's not a real lot. And then you got Wilson Contreras as the pay up at 15% ownership. So I believe you're going to see Castro a lot. I also believe you're going to see a bunch of Danny Jansen, because Danny Jansen's broken into the Toronto lineup today. He's batting ninth, but we know Jansen does have pop in his bat. He could definitely lose one today. I think what's Jansen? He's only 2-2 going up against Yarbrough with the platoon advantage. So Jansen's your punt play. Jason Castro is your value play. I think Castro is in a really good spot today. He's batting fifth against Cal Quantrill. Quantrill's not a good pitcher. Castro hits the ball hard. He's got some nice hard contact numbers. And said batting fifth. My favorite play, Wilson Contreras is probably my favorite as a pay up. He's in a smash spot against the lefty. Plus, he's 5 for 16 against Wade Miley. So if you have the money, you can go to Wilson Contreras for Chicago. I like Mike Zunino a lot today. Zunino's my bomb call of the day. If you look at Zunino's numbers, he's going up against Robbie Ray. Zunino against lefties, 500 ISO, 504 Wnba, 339 batting average, and then get this, a 46% hard contact and 59% fly ball rate. That's all numbers for a home run. We know Robbie Ray will get the ball up in the air. Zunino also has 2 home runs in 12 at-bats lifetime against Robbie Ray. So I love Zunino. Zunino's always probably more of a GPP play because he's either going to hit a home run or he's going to strike out. But at 4-3, bat 6 against Robbie Ray, Zunino is in a great spot today. Definitely a great spot to hit a home run. JT Realmuto, he's down to 4K. But in play, especially at that price, going up against Blake Snell. We know that how Snell can definitely struggle here. So I have no problem using Realmuto batting third. Snell struggles against righties. He'd probably be the only Philly. No, it's a couple of Phillies actually I like. But Realmuto at 4K is in a good spot against the lefty Snell. So once again, for cash, I would rank him. I think Castro is going to be popular. If you're going to pay up, it's Wilson Contreras. It's the way Contreras crushes lefties, 286 ISO, 404 Wnba. He's got that BVP. Or my favorite play is Mike Zunino. Is a home run call against Robbie Ray. All right, that's it for catcher. And that's right. You said AAA Park in Buffalo, and in the middle of like June and July, that becomes a home run park in Buffalo too. That lake effect winds blowing to left field. It's a pitcher's park in April, May, and it's definitely hitter's park in June and July. So, Danny Jansen there could hit one out there in Toronto definitely today, or Zunino. First base, our projections right now. Looking at the top owned first baseman, we got Freddie Freeman looking at 16% on DK. Alex Kirilloff is sliding in there, also 15%, and then Jose Abreu 14%. They're your 3 high-owned guys, or moderately high-owned guys on DK. Probably when it's all said and done, I think Abreu is going to be the favorite play. I know Abreu's popular today, but he's going up against Matt Manning, who's been nothing but a gas can. Manning's given up like crazy hard contact numbers I just saw. Where was it? Is giving up like over 50 or 60% hard contact to lefty and righty batters. So Abreu, who's not having the greatest season at all, is in play at 5-2. He does scare me in cash just the way because he's not hitting. Alex Kirilloff at 3-8, I think, is actually going to end up being a really good play today here. He's right in the middle of the Twins lineup. I just saw his spot in the order. He is batting, I think he's batting third. He's batting fifth. He's batting fifth. Well, Polanco is actually batting cleanup today. So you got Kirilloff batting fifth. He's got hits in 7 of his last 8 games with 2 doubles in his last 3. Plus, in his short career this season against Brad Kelly's 4 for 7. So Kirilloff's in play at 3-8. Freddie Freeman definitely in play today. He's now got hits in 6 straight games. He's been on base now in 11 straight. He went 3 for 3 yesterday. Over those 11 games, he's got 3 doubles, home runs, 6 runs, 6 ribbies. Don't sleep on Freddie Freeman today if you have the money to pay up. Also, of course, Vlad's in play. I like playing Vlad on the reverse split actually against righties, but Vlad's in play against Yarbrough. It is a positive platoon, but he's in play at 5.8. His price has dropped a little bit. And who actually may be one of my favorite plays today is Joey Votto. Joey Votto's betting cleanup, going up against Kyle Hendricks. Votto's got crazy splits right now. He's hitting 404 Wnba against lefties, 262 ISO, and here's another BVP against Kyle Hendricks. He's 11 for 30 with 3 home runs. So Votto batting cleanup in Great America Small Parks in a great spot. I like a lot of plays from this game, but especially Votto batting cleanup. So my favorite place probably when it's all said and done, I think Freeman's probably my top play. I think Kirilloff, Votto, and Jose Abreu. Anybody I'm missing? Probably not. The other one is Vlad. Vlad's always in play. I just would rather see Vlad against a righty, but Vlad could lose one against any pitcher. It doesn't matter what side he's on. Anybody else? You got the Bradley kid against Greinke. Good GPP call. 356 ISO, 396 Wnba. Hoskins against Snell. So Snell struggles against righties. I guess he's in play for GPPs. And that's probably it. But I do like Votto. And here's another one if you want a cheap one. Ryan O'Hearn for the Royals against Kenta Maeda. Maeda's really struggled against lefties this year. Definitely 223 ISO, 381. Wlba's giving up the lefties. And O'Hearn has actually got 238 ISO against righties. So Ryan O'Hearn's a sneaky play also for Kansas City. And that's it. That's it for first base. All right, second base. Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss something? I missed something on FanDuel. I didn't say FanDuel. FanDuel's Freddie Freeman at 3.8. I think is your top play. So I'm on both spots, Freeman. Okay, second base. Our projections right now. We're looking at the top projected plays. Luis Arias from Minnesota, running away with it. 25% ownership on DK, 20% ownership looking at on FanDuel. Great price. He's 3.6. He is leading off today. The only time I would play Arias is if he's leading off, and he is leading off today, so he's in a good spot. He does, he's a contact hitter. He doesn't strike out. He's not going to hit you home runs, but great spot at 3.6. If I had the money, though, I'm probably going to jump up to either like a Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien is 5.3. He's gone deep now 3 of his last 5 games, 9 ribbies over that span, and he's got hits in 8 of his last 9. 420 batting average last week. Semien's hot. And then Jonathan India. Jonathan India hurt me yesterday. I played him. I may go right back to him again today. India's $1,000 cheaper than Semien. Hits in 4 of his last 5. He's got 2 doubles and a steal in his last 2, so he's in play. Here's another one, actually. Lori Garcia, where you can play him at second or third. He's only 3.2, and he is batting 5th today on the Chicago lineup. So Garcia's in play. Now that he's healthy now for the last 3 weeks, he's hitting 333. 4 extra base hits, 12 ribbies, and 8 runs over those 15 games. So he's a decent value play at 3.2. I think Gene Segura for Philadelphia is a decent play because he's leading off for Philly against Snell. He's reached base safely 9 straight. Good matchup against Snell. I said, and Segura definitely hits lefties. 536 combined ISO Wnba. So for second base, I think the popping play is going to be Arias, but he's cheap at 3.6. Whatever he is, 3.6 or whatever he is. But don't sleep on. You can use Garcia, or you can use him at third. I think you may end up putting Garcia somewhere in your lineup, or going to go all the way up to Jonathan India, who I think is in a really good spot today at 4.3 in a hitter's environment, going up against Kyle Hendricks, or of course Marcus Semien at 5.3. Always a chance to lead off the game in a home run. That's our second baseman. Third base. Projection-wise, we have 2 guys high projected. Chris Bryant, who I'm totally got a man crush on today. I'm playing Bryant somewhere, second or third or outfield. Or we got Jake Berger for the White Sox is picking ownership up now. Berger comes in minimum priced. He's only 2.1. So this is a way you can get some of these other bigger bats. A lot of people don't know who Berger is, but he was a first-round draft pick for them back in 2017. He's had a lot of problems. He had some Achilles problems, but he made his debut the other night with Moncada out. He went 2 for 4 with a double run scored, and he's in the lineup today. I think he's batting, 7th or 8th? He's toward the bottom of the order, but at that place, definitely he's batting eighth. But that place is definitely in play against Matt Manning, who's a gas can. So Berger's in play. Louis Garcia is definitely in play, batting fifth against Manning. You can play Garcia at second or third. Abraham Toro for Houston is another good play at third base as a value slot. Where's Toro? I'm assuming he's toward the bottom of the order for Houston. Toro's batting seventh, but it's a cheap way to get a piece of that Astros high implied against Quantrill. He went 2 for 4 yesterday. He had a home run. So since he took over for Bregman after Bregman's injury, he's now slashed in 292, 375, and 479. So Toro's doing well. You want to pay up today? I think Mlb Wnba is in a good spot for Toronto. Biggio's batting sixth. Actually sitting now 370 over the last week and 300 over the last month. 8 for 17 lifetime against Ryan Yarbrough. So Mlb Wnba at 4-2 is in a great spot today for Toronto. And then, of course, you pay up is Chris Bryant. I want Bryant either. I'm going to have him somewhere in my lineup, either third base or outfield. But Bryant is set up for a huge day today. Great American Ballpark, Pitchers Park. Everything is lined up for him against the lefty. This year against lefties, 426 ISO, elite. 485 Woba, elite. 344 batting average, elite. A home run per plate appearance, 0.10. And then it all comes together with his BBP he's got. His BBP now, he's 7 for 16 with 2 homers off of Miley in his career. So 2 homers and 16 at bats, batting almost 500. Bryant's my top play today. All right, that's third base. Shortstop. Our projections right now are showing Tatis at the highest owned, 25% on DK, almost 28% on FanDuel. So, man, it's going to be hard to get to Tatis at that price. But I guess if we can use guys like Jake Berger, maybe guys like Garcia or Arias, we may be able to get to him. But I don't have to give you an introduction on Tatis. He's just the best in baseball. He's matchup proof. Going up against Vasquez, 326 batting average against righties. He's hit 310, 9 homers the last month. So, especially on FanDuel where he's 4-5, Tatis at the play. DK, possibly you can maybe run Timmy Anderson at 5-1. You want to save $1,000. Anderson, a good spot against Matt Manning today. He's going to have hard contact. Another play I like, probably more of a GBP play, though, is Javier Baez. Slumping, still in a good spot, though, today. Hitters Park against Miley with the advantage. Always a threat for a bomb today. Baez. Willie Adames is doing well, still hitting the ball. Last 5 games, 3 homers, so I guess he's in play. Of course, Carlos Correa's in play. Batting cleanup again today with Brantley out. Or you can go down to, I guess, probably a punt play in Taylor Walls. Taylor Walls is just reinstated off the IL for Tampa. He's back in the lineup. He's batting, I think 8th. So you can put Tyler Walls in there. For some reason I have Zach Short on my top place, so ignore that. I said update that. All right, so FanDuel, you want to rock with Fernando Tatis. DK, of course, you want Tatis if you can get to him. If not, you run Timmy Anderson, or maybe you can drop all the way down to Taylor Walls. I don't think you have to use Walls, though, with some of this other value that's popping up with the guys like Berger and stuff. And then we get these outfielders. But I think Walls in play. Walls is a decent hitter. You can use him at 2-0. All right, outfield. Our outfielder projections right now, it's got Luis Area. I forgot Luis Area is outfield eligible, so he's going to be high projected, 24%. Brian Goodwin, 20%. Acuna always 19%. Jake Marisnick, who broke into the Cubs order today, 18%. But that's probably not where I'm going to go. I'm going to get Bryant in my lineup if I don't have him at third. Of course, Acuna. Nicky Castellanos is up there, definitely in play. Nicky burned me yesterday. One of the rare times he didn't get a hit, but definitely in play again today. I'm probably going to live more toward middle of the order value plays today, though, on DK. So George Springer batting. He's at 4-7. Springer's now batting cleanup for Toronto. Great spot at 470. He now has back-to-back home run games. 333 batting average over his last 8 games with 3 homers and 8 walks. Tio's still in play at 4-9. He just dropped to the 5th spot in the order. Still, he's got crazy platoon splits right now. 386 ISO, 441 Wnba, 333 batting average against lefties. Tio's in play. Then we come down to Gavin. I think Gavin Sheets. Gavin Sheets could probably be a core play because he's only 2.7 for Chicago. Sheets has really been hitting the ball also. He's batting second today for Chicago. For the White Sox, he already has 2 homers, 8 ribbies, 3 runs scored, and a couple of doubles, and 17 at-bats. Started his career as Larry Sheets' son. Sheets will possibly be a punt in my main lineup. Miles Straw is a good spot. Can be in your main lineup for the Astros. He's batting second today. He's been locked in since June. Slashing 323, 415, 434. Couple homers, 7 steals, 11 ribbies, 11 runs scored. So definitely don't sleep on Miles Straw. I did just notice Larnack is batting second for Minnesota today. So Larnack's in play. He's a minimum price play. Batting in front of Nelly Cruz and Polanco. I'm not a huge Larnack guy right now, but he can definitely play in cash if you don't want to play Gavin Sheets or Miles Straw. Anybody I'm missing? I guess I didn't mention Brian Goodwin. You got Brian Goodwin sitting here at 3-4. Goodwin's bad cleanup today, I think, right? He's bad cleanup today. 60% hard contact rate right now against righties. His last 3 games, Goodwin's 4 for 11, 2 homers, a triple double, a couple of 3 ribbies, 4 runs. So definitely a lot of great value plays, say in outfield, where maybe you can get up some of these other guys you want, like a Brews or Freemans or the Vlads or the Tatises, because you can run a lineup with Gavin Sheets, Brian Goodwin, and Miles Straw. George Springer at 4.7 isn't too bad. A lot of ways to go there on DK. Same thing on FanDuel. I'm looking. Acuna, 4-4, great spot. Nelly Cruz on FanDuel, 4-2. Like we said, Springer. Randy Arozarena is only 3-2 on FanDuel. You can definitely roll out Arozarena or Brian Goodwin's 3-1. I kind of like that Randy Arozarena price for Tampa. He could definitely lose one today, batting second against Robbie Ray. Margot's is leading off today against Ray. So Margot's not in a bad spot on both DK or FanDuel. Yanni Diaz is batting cleanup. I have no idea why. The guy has no power against Ray. Bad move by Tampa. That's pretty much it for the outfielders. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Maybe Chas McCormick. I guess he's probably in play. But there's so many ways to go. You should be safe with any of these value plays. It all depends on what team you like, what stack you want to use. Probably the way to go today. I like more and more. I'm looking at it. I do like this. I do like Manny Margot leading off against Robbie Ray today. I think Margot's in a really good spot here. All right, so my core, it's gonna have Peralta in it. I'm still deciding about Garrett Cole and Cash. I'm gonna have these cheap guys. I'm gonna have Lori Garcia somewhere. I'm gonna have Jake Berger somewhere. So I can maybe fit in like a Tatis or Vlad. I'm gonna have Brian Goodwin batting cleanup. Probably gonna have Gavin Sheets batting second for Chicago. So I'm probably gonna have like a stars and scrubs for once in MLB today. Maybe the way to go. So especially if I run out of Garrett Cole, if I run out of Morton, something like that, it may be different. But I'm running 2 of Cole, Peralta, and Morton. I think that's how I'm kind of deciding here as I get done talking. All right, my home run call is Mike Zunino, Chris Bryant. My top stacks today: Reds, Cubs, White Sox. Definitely sneaky stack. I like Tampa Bay against Robbie Ray. And I think that is it. Let's go to Prize Picks quick. I have 2 Prize Picks right now so far. Prize Picks, code YFC. I have Freddie Peralta over 6.5 Ks. He should definitely get the over. And then I have Chris Bryant over 1.5 total bases. You see how much I like Chris Bryant today. Over 1.5 total bases. Should get that easy. They're my top 2 locks for Prize Picks. All right, so that's pretty much it for baseball. I got done right at 30 minutes. I'm going to turn this over to Walter Riddell, who's WNBA. He's got 2 games slate tonight, plus a showdown. Good luck, guys, today. I may have something for the 4 o'clock slate. Definitely I'll have something for Sunday Night Baseball tonight for a showdown. And that is it. Thanks, guys. It's time to you, Walter.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Pete, thank you very much. Nice job as always. WNBA, we've been doing pretty good the last couple of days. You know, head-to-heads and cash games been solid, but now we're starting to get back into that GPP cash and tag category. A couple near binks recently for a few of us. So the grind continues. You know, there's only 1.5 week left before the 1 month Olympic break. So you got to get it in now while you can if you're interested, or you're, kind of burned out on some of the other sports, or you're looking to supplement your baseball income. Then come over and hang out with me and play some WNBA, because the leverage on Captain Leverage, especially in college sports, has been massive. You know, the other night we faded Brianna Stewart, who was like 80% on a 3-game slate, which is just phenomenally ridiculous when you think about it. She scored 29, so that fade was big. And then yesterday, Jontel Lavender, who sucks, was 45% 2-game slate. So it's understandable, but I wasn't going to touch her. That fade helped us. So we're going to find some more leverage spots here. First game we're going to talk about, as well as I pull up some ownership, is the Atlanta Dream versus Las Vegas Aces. The Aces are starting to really establish themselves as a top 2, top 3 team now. They just had a nice win over the Storm. They've actually beat them in 2 of 3 contests. The Dream seem to be going backwards a little bit. They started out well. Their star, Tiffany Hayes, is injured, so to be expected. But the line right now is minus 16 for the Aces. It is 172.5 total, so the higher scoring of the 2 games. But that minus 16 is super disrespectful. If you were to bet, I think I would probably take the points, or you could even, if you got a little bit of expendable bankroll, maybe even take the money line, because the Fever won a game the other day. What was it, yesterday, actually, against the Sun, and they were like, plus 900? So, you can get some value here, because these WNBA games, there's a lot of high volatility, high variance involved. And sometimes the weaker team wins just because of a bad shooting night, or, the other team's not interested, or a team has a hard time getting up for a lesser opponent. Atlanta, they're out of the playoff race right now, but it's only within 1 or 2 games. They could very easily turn this around. They have the talent to do so. All right. My pooch is of course, it's time for my dog to get in the way. So with that being said, first couple of plays here on the Atlanta side. Love Courtney Williams. She's 10.2K. It's going to cost you, obviously quite a bit here, but she's a very solid play in terms of her floor is high. She's going to hover around 30, 35 fantasy points. She has upside for more. She's pretty well matchup proof. She's a very high upside rebounding guard. Very active. You've seen her last game. She had 28 and 7. Game before that, 18, 5 and 4. She had 25, 5 and 2, a 10, 8 and 3. So she's very active in all categories, which gives you a very high floor with that upside for more. So while she is one of the more expensive, players on the slate, the most expensive guard, I think you can afford that, because again, Stewie's on the slate. She's 11.8. We know she's going to be, 90% owned as usual. So I think you get a lot of leverage there for Courtney. Looking at initial ownership projection, she's projected right around 11%. So on a 2-game slate, if you get somebody who is 15% or less and scores 40 plus, you're going to be way ahead of the field. So I'm definitely a fan of hers. Tiffany Hayes is still out. The situation with the Atlanta forwards is getting really, really maddening. Cheyenne Parker's there at 7'7". Mo Billings is back 6'9". Liz Willie at 6'3". Tiana Hawkins at 5'7". So they have a ton of forwards. They all cannibalize each other, play 18 to 20 minutes. They do ride the hot hand. Lately, it's been Mo Billings, so it's a GPP situation all the way. Any of those 4 players could end up doing well. One player that's probably going to be a high owned as long as she starts again is Crystal Bradford. She did get her first start of the season for the Dream against Seattle in a close loss. She took 15 shots, 40 fantasy points, which is career high for her. The game before that against New York off the bench, she had 30 fantasy points, which earned her the start. If you guys have been following me for the season, Bradford's one of the highest fantasy point per minute players in the league. Even when she'd come in and play, 12, 15 minutes off the bench, she would always have, 18 fantasy points here, 17 fantasy points in 8 minutes. Just a very high producer. So if they're going to continue to give her 25 to 30 minutes, she's still technically underpriced at 7.3. This is a player we've been paying 5.2, 5.5 for all season. But until she hits that 8K mark, I think there's still a lot of value here. She was only 16% on the last slate, despite entering the starting lineup. So that was good leverage as a low-owned player dropping 40. Right now, on the current projection, she does sit around 43% owned, which is third highest behind the likes of Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson, who are both, big time players, always high owned. So that's a little wild to see her that highly owned, but she's really, really good right now. Like I said, highest FPPM, so you got to roll her. Kennedy Carter, Odyssey Sims, Ari McDonald, players like that are all just fringe GPP. They're not going to give you consistent floors. You may hit a big, 30-point game from them, but 75% of the time you're going to hit an 8, 12. It's just not worth the risk here. You need either to chalk a little bit here on this 2-game slate, and then find yourself 1 or 2 pieces of leverage, which is with Courtney Williams. So Williams and Bradford, I think, are the two I'm really looking at. And then for Vegas, it's always Asia Wilson, who's the former, last year's MVP, or Liz Cambridge, who I do like a lot better, and is typically a big, strong player. But when games turn into blowouts, she plays less minutes. Right now, she's 24% ownership. Asia Wilson, 54%. So there's obvious leverage there. I will admit, Asia, I did have to do some swapping around last slate because Bradford was starting, which did give me salary to get up to Asia. So I did luck out a bit getting, that 40 from her against LA in a blowout. The game before, she's 11K, which is 800 cheaper than Brianna Stewart, so I do prefer her. Looking at it, she's got 4 straight double doubles. She's averaging 19 and 9, almost 40 fantasy points per game, so very strong. Her minutes are going to be really solidified regardless of how the game plays out. Whereas Cambridge, they're really pacing her. You see 3 of her last 5 games, she's been under 20 minutes. They've been on blowouts. They're going to pull her early. She doesn't play the fourth quarter. She does put up 25 to 30 in every 20 minutes, though. So if it's a close game, and they do play her to 30, like if you look against that Minnesota game where she played 34 minutes, she had over 50 fantasy points. So there is a lot of upside for her if the game stays close, which I think it has potential to do. And with her ownership being a lot lower than Asia Wilson, you can find yourself a little bit of leverage there. But I admittedly would prefer Asia Wilson if you can only play 1 on your main lineup. But 9.9 for Cambridge is a really solid price. The rest of the Vegas guards, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, Raquana Williams, they are all the same type of thing as the forwards for Atlanta. There'll be a game where they hit 40. There'll be a game where they hit 12. So it's really difficult to kind of hone in on them. Jackie Young at 7.9 has a ton of upside. This is the type of matchup she excels in. High pace, high octane. She's going to take a lot of shots. They're going to pull, fast breaks a lot. So I do like her as opposed to Kelsey Plum or Raquana Williams. And Chelsea Gray is kind of sitting right at the right price. She should be at 8.5. She's not going to be looking for her shots. The problem with Vegas is they have so many offensive weapons. Gray's kind of just, they call her the point god. She's just kind of a passer right now. So she's not going to get you a whole lot, 25 to 28 fantasy points, which is fine, but you need more at that 85 price. So the forwards, Wilson or Cambridge, and then maybe a little Jackie Young. They did sign Kaya Stokes as well. She's a former Liberty player who didn't play a lot, so she's going to get probably 10 to 15 minutes at 4.7. I don't think I would use her for value just yet until we see what her situation is going to be like in terms of the rotation. But if you're running multiple lineups, no issues with it. Second game here, Seattle Storm versus the LA Sparks. This is later. These slates are later in the day too, so you have time to internalize this stuff and play. Ask me questions if you want. The Storm right now are minus 12.5, so they're actually smaller favorites than the Aces, which I don't think makes that much sense because the Sparks are worse than the Dream. They're plus 600. It's 161.5 over under, so a little bit lower. The Sparks are still dealing with injuries. We know they're going to be without the Wnba sisters. Christy Tolliver has a scratched eye. She's been out. They did sign Lauren Cox. You guys, if you listen to me on Twitter at all, you see I talk about Lauren Cox a lot. The Indiana Fever are a very poor franchise in the WNBA. They let her go for nothing, the former number 3 pick of 2020. Already in 2 games with the Sparks, she's played 19 and 21 minutes. Fantasy points are coming along, 17 and 14. But as long as they keep playing her 20, she's going to be a big play. Now, she's priced at 5.2, so she's up $1,000, and that's just because of ownership. She does project right now the 4th highest owned player on the slate at 35%, so right behind Bradford, Wilson, and Stewie. So you can see those 4 are going to be really popular in cash games and single entry, so expect that. But I'm probably going to be rolling her out again, too. The Storm defense is not as good as it used to be. If you look back and see, who's hurting them, opposing forwards are getting off on them. Stewie's offensive game has suffered because she's been having to guard the best team's front court player, which in this instance will probably be Amanda Zawi, leaving Cox, to be guarded by somebody like Ezi Magbagor, who I still like, but is a youngster as well. Cox is trying to add to her 3-point shooting ability as well. So I think we could see, a nice little 3.5, 4x game from here. Especially if it turns into a blowout. But as long as she continues to see 20, 25 minutes, and it sounds like Derek Fisher is going to continue to give her additional minutes with Naneka and Chene out, it could be a nice little value play there. It is, again, it's chalky, but you just got to eat it. As far as the rest of the Sparks, they're a very unforgiving team when it comes to fantasy. Zoe B's playing well, but at 9-6, I wouldn't touch her. This sounds like a game where, she'll get 3 early half fouls. She's due. She's been playing really well. 3 of her last 4 over 30 fantasy points. A bust game is coming for her. We have, 4 years of data on her of how this happens for her when she scores fantasy points. So she's going to bust, I have a feeling. Brittany Sykes is okay at 7-6. Taya Cooper at 7-5 is probably your second best Sparks play, though. Rounding in, she has 3 of her last 4 games over 27 minutes. She scored over 20 fantasy points in 4 straight, back from that 1-game suspension. So, she's going to be solidly fitting in there for a 3x, 4x game, which is what you're looking for from her. She also looks to attack. On the Storm side, Brianna Stewart, right now, her ownership projection is 63%. I would expect that to push closer to 80. If she's going to be 80 on a 3-gamer, what do you think she's going to be on a 2-gamer? Really good. She had a tough game last game. The Dream surprisingly did a really good job against her. She shot 2 for 11, which was a season low for her. Volume-wise, it's still going to be there. This is a good spot to think about leverage, even at 11-8. If it turns into a blowout, she will sit for part of the fourth. And she also defers to other players a lot. So, with Magbagor, they just released Candace Dupree. So Ezzy Magbagor is going to play more minutes. Stephanie Talbot. A lot of these players who hadn't been seeing that many minutes, Stewie's going to try to get them involved, get their confidence up for when the playoffs start. So I'd be looking at maybe like a 40-45 from her today, which is solid, definitely. But can we, finagle our lineups a little bit more to where, if she's not going to put up 60, we probably can get away with fading her. Jewel Lloyd at 9-3 is the perfect leverage spot. If you do fade Stewie, I always say that if you plan on fading her, go to Jewel Lloyd. Lloyd was awful in the last game, although in the second half she did hit 3 late game shots that gave them the actual win. She only played 24 minutes. She was very much so struggling, not looking for a shot. She had a season low shot attempts 4. Look for her to be taking a lot of shots today. At 9-3, I think she's a very solid play. She is listed as questionable today because of an ankle strain, but I would be very surprised if she didn't play. If she were to be out, Katie Lou Samuelson, we're all in on. Maybe a Jordan Canada, Epiphany Prince, Stephanie Talbot, all these different options. Sue Bird's there at 8-7. But I would be looking at Katie Lou Samuelson, who even if Lloyd plays, I'm probably going to have a lot of exposure to Katie Lou. Storm did trade a #1 pick to acquire her. I've said it all season long. They want to see what they have in her. She's playing really well lately. 3 of her last 4, she's been right at that 20 fantasy point mark. So 5-9 is about the cusp of where we want to pay. Any more from her would be a little tough. But I like her for 20-25 today. If Lloyd were to sit, she'll play a ton. Her sister does play for the Sparks. Maybe we have that narrative on the WNBA. Narratives rule supreme. Maybe she wants to show out against her sister. Plays a little bit more. Looking at that Vegas game where she played 32 minutes, that's what I'm kind of hoping for today is a roughly 30 minutes with her taking, 3 to 5 3-point shots. So she's my favorite Storm play, followed closely behind by Mercedes Russell, who at 6'8" is another player that you can count on for 20 fantasy points, with the Sparks front court being in disarray and injuries, all kinds of stuff, lackluster play. I think Mercedes could have a nice game. She does have a double-double in her mix just 2 or 3 games ago. So I can very well see that happen, especially if Lloyd's out going with a bigger lineup. And then Ezzy Magbagor and Jordan Canada are your 2 values. Magbagor at 5'3", Canada at 4'9". Like I said, if Lloyd's out, Canada gets thrust into a starting role, would be must play. Magbagor is going to play around 20 to 25 minutes now that Dupree's out. They said most of Dupree's 11 minutes a game will go to her. Ezzy's a first round, second round draft pick from a couple years ago for the Storm. The future of the team. She's a big time player. She plays for Team Australia. She is, you saw her in what is it, 15 minutes, scored 20 fantasy points last game, or 22, sorry, 12, 2 and 2. Earlier in the season when she started, she put up some 25, 30-point games, so she's fully capable. She needs to work on her control a little bit in the post, but she's a big time player and she can put up a lot of fantasy points in a short amount of time. So if there are any injuries or if Magbagor were to start for some reason, she would be a must play as well, but I like her for GPPs a lot. Everyone else that they signed, like Sierra Burdick, Kennedy Burke, I'm not really on them today. But like I said, Stewie, if you're scared about it and you want to, kind of match up with people on a small slate, play her in your cash games. But GPP, it really doesn't make sense. If you're going to play that, $15 2K to first, running Brianna Stewart in your lineup just doesn't make a lot of sense because you're not going to move up at all with her. However, fading her and she busts, you're going to move way up. Prize picks on the 2-gamer. My favorite play right here, pulling it up. If Jewel Lloyd plays 31 fantasy points, I like the over for her. I just don't see her busting a second game in a row. Just be very shocked. And then Asia Wilson at 37.5 feels very low, considering, she's a walking 40, 45. She would play even in a blowout still roughly 30 minutes, so 37.5 I like. And then for single stats, Courtney Williams, 17 real points. She's taking a ton of shots without Tiffany Hayes, pushing on 20. Like I said, she's never met a mid-range shot that she doesn't like. If she gets any kind of space at all, she's going to pull. 17 feels low for her and a player that's going to score, 20 plus real points, potentially add 8 rebounds, 5 assists, something like that. Kennedy Carter's going through a kind of a sophomore slump. So Williams is going to do a lot of damage here tonight, I have a feeling, especially at low ownership. Rest of the week, there's going to be a showdown tomorrow. Then there's no games on Tuesday, which is not very typical. It's usually Monday, the league-wide day off. And then there's a few 2 and 3 game slates all throughout Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, leading up to the 11th of this month, which is just about a week and a half away, when we go on the Olympic break. When we hit the Olympic break, I've been talking to DK, but they're not being very transparent. So I'm hopeful TBT DFS will be here. Last year they did it because everything was in COVID, lockdowns. The year before they had it partially as well, and FanDuel was a sponsor last year. It sounds like FanDuel is not going to do it. Hopeful that DK does. We made a lot of good money playing high dollar stuff last year for it. The edge will be massive. There's 60 plus teams, so we will definitely have an edge over the rest of the field. There'll be a lot of casual money that comes into play. And then we're only, 7.5, 8 weeks away from college football. You guys that followed me and Pete last year will know that we had a lot of good success. There's all but 2, maybe 3 weeks last year, and I'm not just, Mr. Tout saying we'll never lose, where we didn't profit. And those slates were because of an injury for an Oklahoma State running back, which was ridiculous. And then we had injuries to our quarterback 1 week. So other than that, college football is going to be profitable. And then if you college basketball, we're about 152 days away. So that'll be here before you know it. So lots of good niche stuff coming up. Still working on Aussie. The slate contests haven't been big enough to really warrant doing content for it. I will start next week. I believe they're going to go back to 1K to first GPPs. So expect some Aussie stuff down the pipeline as well. And then we'll be doing some shows for this TBT as long as we have it. Even if they don't, I was thinking about doing some kind of maybe sub-draft where we, draft players and track it ourselves. Just something to be excited about because TBT is a fun tournament to watch. So that's pretty much it. Appreciate it, guys. 2 game slate later today. If you're not a member already, definitely consider that. In the premium room, we talk all sports. You heard Pete talk about it before. One price covers everything. Winning lineups room has been lit up with soccer winnings, WNBA winnings, baseball every day, and esports by our guy Big E. So I appreciate everybody. Have a good rest of your weekend. Happy 4th. Don't blow your arm off, and be safe. Thanks, guys. Take care.